What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Radioactive. It is Ian and Victoria. We are back with season 4. This is our first episode of the season, and we're so stoked to be joined by Miles Dimitri Baker from Ice Nine Kills. How are you doing today, Miles?
I'm doing great, hanging out. I finished teaching. I got my cat. We're going on tour real soon. Things are good.
Well, speaking of tour, like you mentioned, you guys are going to be going on the road pretty soon here, and if I'm not mistaken, you guys are playing both Silver Scream albums, correct?
Yeah, we're doing Silver Scream 1 and 2. So night 1 is Silver Scream 1, and then night 2 is Silver Scream 2. Welcome to Horrorwood.
Yeah, a lot of songs on
Yeah.
there. Um,
Oh my God. Yeah, it's pretty serious. Yeah, there's a lot of songs. There's a lot of rehearsal. I'm still kind of prepping for stuff a little bit. Even after this, I'll probably have a little dinner and keep ripping and just getting ready. A lot of vocals, a lot of songs we haven't, a lot of songs the band's never played. Well, not a lot, but like there's a couple. And then stuff we haven't played in a while, like my first tour with them a few years ago, like stuff we haven't played since then. So it's almost like I had to relearn.
I guess you kind of answered it, but just like how much preparation as a whole and practicing goes into something like this at such a high level of playing two whole albums and like I said, some songs you've never played before.
Yeah, I mean, it's like constant. I mean, I'm able to learn stuff really quickly. I when I first got hit up for the band, I had to learn 15 songs in 4 days, and that was like I thought I broke my brain. It was like really serious. It was like, God, this is so much. And so it's not the learning the songs isn't the hardest part, but getting like really comfortable with them where I'm not thinking about it, which is like kind of the point you want to be at when you're playing a show. You know what I mean? You want to be able to like rock and be cool and like, do vocal parts and stuff. So you can't really be like thinking too hard about what you're playing. You have to be kind of dialed in at that point. Um, so for me, like what I've been doing is playing through each record, minus the past week, because we had rehearsals, but we weren't running like full record front to back every day. But at home, what I will do is run each record twice. So like that's kind of the prep that goes into that, and then getting the vocal parts, I'll make like isolated focused practices where it's just guitar, and then I'll do a run through where it's like I'm working on the vocal parts, making sure I'm not missing anything. Because a lot of stuff is layers, and then there's stuff that's like just me. So there's like certain lines where it's like, okay, I like really can't miss this one because no one else is singing. So that's a big one. So it takes some time, and there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that like I don't directly handle at all by any means, which goes into like production and so much stuff. So it's a really big machine getting ready for it. But just on the practice like musician side of it, it's quite a bit of work. And I want to make sure I'm going out there and just absolutely ripping. You know what I mean? I don't want to show up and be kind of like, I kind of know this one. I want to be dialed in day one. Yeah.
And you had mentioned the production of the show, which made me just think of Ian. When we interviewed Patrick Galante last
Mhm.
season, we asked him what it was like playing a show with Ice Nine Kills with so much going on, with stage actors running around and stuff.
Yeah.
How do you like feel about that on stage? Like, do you kind of have to just zone in and play your instrument, or like do you get distracted at all by that?
Sometimes I'll get distracted if something particularly funny happens or like goes a little off script. Um, or like for example, in Walking on Sunshine, Tony, he's the son in that one. He's got the axe, and there's that big solo. There's two solos in that song, but like the big one. And I hop off the center riser, and he's like crossing behind me, but we've ran face first into each other. Yeah, like more than once. Like I actually like kind of hurt my nose one time. I like really ran into, and it's like he's just a little shorter than me, so it's just like direct to forehead, like hit my
Ooh.
nose. Yeah, I mean, I didn't like break my nose or anything, but it was just like, oof. So stuff like that'll happen. But as far as like comparatively with Pat, for example, um, nails, jeez. What'll happen? Yeah, she's like really digging in. Um, what will happen is I have some more spots where I need to like move away or be back. There's stuff where we have like cues that we need to remember to get out of the way, because there's like say worst vacation, they come up with like the aprons and the masks and they got the axe or like the chainsaws and stuff. Like they have certain spots they go consistently. So occasionally I won't get out of the way and I'll just feel like a shove, because I'm like totally in the way of like Lane or Tony or Mike, they'll just kind of like shove me out of the way a little bit. Um, but yeah, it's definitely a thing. It's different than any other live show I've done with other bands because I've never had like people acting on stage, it's totally different. But it's a lot of fun. I like it.
That's kind of like a really perfect transition into this kind of curveball that popped into my head about 2 to 5 minutes ago. So I
Okay.
kind of want to take it a different direction, if I may. I want to know, um, kind of little bit of a backstory here before I kind of dive into this next question here. One thing that I've really been working on this year is getting my mental health back in check. Miles, for bit of context here, I went through a pretty, really, really sad breakup at the start of the year where it wasn't really something anybody did vindictively or maliciously. It was just kind of like a, hey, this is not working out. Like, I need to step back. Like, I am not doing good mentally. And you also have some things you need to figure out. This is just not working. Like, we need to stop. And it
Happens.
was sad because we both wanted to start a life together, but it could have been a right person, wrong time situation. I'm kind of yammering on, but I say all of this to say, Miles, we're talking about, we're touching topics of getting in the zone and making sure that you are completely level headed when you are playing on stage. Now, I
Yeah.
can very well imagine, Miles, that you have certain days, certain nights where you're not 100%, where you're like really anxious, really upset. You have a lot on your brain, a lot on the back
Yeah.
burner. So,
Oh yeah.
Miles, what I want to know is, what do you do when you are getting ready to rehearse or you're getting ready to go on stage? What is the most efficient way to get back, like, check yourself and be like, all right, hey, let's go. Let's do it. Come on.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good question. I think people ask similar questions, but not quite in the way that you have, and I think that's cool because that is a thing that happens. Like, we all have our own lives outside of, music and touring, and we have people at home that we miss, and other, whether it's a business venture or projects we're working on while we're out. There's things that when being involved in anything, like things inherently do go wrong and it does, piss you off, like, and give you a bad day, or like maybe you're just kind of homesick, or maybe you didn't sleep. Like there's a million factors that can, you know, lead up to getting ready to play a show and you're just like, like not in the mood, or you're mad, or like whatever. I always I always try to like warm up. I'll get off my phone. That's a big thing. Like no more doom scrolling. I'm not looking at reels, I'm not like doing that whole thing because that's a big one that's kind of distracting and like lets it's a distraction I would think we all use as humans in the modern society is like just go doom scroll and like, veg out, you know what I mean? So turn that off, or I'll put like, I'll have the phone out, I'll put my metronome on, right? And I'll just like drill some exercises. And I have certain things I play on guitar that really kind of gear me up for like, getting ready for a show, like certain exercises that really get my hands going and feel good, or like vocal warm-ups and stuff for, especially on this tour where I have a lot more vocal duty than previous ones. I will do stuff like that. Another thing that I'll do that I think is like sheerly mental is think about like little Miles, like how stoked would he be to be playing these shows right now? Like, we're playing a show on a Monday night in Oklahoma, and there's still a sold out house there ready to see Ice Nine Kills and excited. And they have been looking forward to seeing this show. Some people traveled to see this show. Some people, paid a lot of money to like get there and get a hotel. And it's like a huge deal, like a huge outing. Like they've had a shit 2 months at work. And this is like the fun night that they get to go have out that they've been looking forward to. That helps, you know, because we are there because obviously we love playing music, but we are also there because people care. End of story. People like what is happening, and people have made it possible for us to go tour. and live our dream, So that kind of like tries to snap me out of it. It's like just like take a step back and look at how lucky we are to be doing this, and that usually does the trick. It's that
Rock
simple.
on, man. I love that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. I mean,
that's
it's like
Great
it
answer.
sounds it sounds like a
yeah.
very like, for the fans like contrived answer, but like really it is, like I look back to when I started doing this and like I've been touring since I was 18. Like right out of high school I did my first tour and then it picked up over the years. I've been like kind of ups and downs and I've been doing this for a long time. I put a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of sacrifice into making this happen. Like, how am I going to be at some sick show and be a little crybaby about it? Be like, wait, I don't want to play tonight. I'm in a bad mood. Like, shut up, dude. Like, you're so lucky to be doing this. Like, just snap out of it. Be happy. Go be pissed off after the show. Go have fun and do what you've spent 20 years working to do.
I love that answer. And just made me think, Miles, you were talking about, you know, thinking of yourself when you were younger and just
Yep.
being able to be
Tiny
at this
miles.
level, playing these shows. At what point, I'm not sure how old you were when you started playing guitar, but at what point did you kind of realize you wanted to do that professionally?
I started when I was 10. That's when I got a guitar. I didn't really get like into guitar until I was like 15, 16. I think I started getting into it a lot. And then like 16, 17, it was like, yeah, I want to try to make this happen. I think it was really, really when that happened, if I had to guess.
With that said, obviously you had a very big inclination to play guitar, right? And it
Yeah.
just kind of woke up inside of you one day. That said, I'm sure you had other ambitions or maybe things you wanted to pursue after high school. Did you ever want to be, I don't know, maybe a doctor or maybe an architect? Were there other career paths that you wanted to take aside from guitar?
Yeah, I wanted to be an attorney for a while. That
Oh,
sounded
nice.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, that was always something that I thought was kind of cool. That faded away because I think by time that was like something I wanted to do, or by time it was how do you say this? By time that was something I could have tried to pursue, I had already like fallen into something else I wanted to do. You know what I mean? Like I was interested in doing that years before it was time for me to like even, go to college and like try to get in law school and stuff. And I think there's like prerequisites you have to have, you get a bachelor degree or something and whatever, and then you can go to law school. I don't think you can just go straight to law school out of high school. I don't know though. I should know this, but I don't. Shows how much that time difference was. I didn't even like understand that stuff. But I did like skateboarding a lot. I don't know that that's a wildly plausible career in most cases. I mean, it's probably not any less plausible than having a career in music, which is like arguably one of the hardest things to have a career in, I think, on the planet, outside of maybe being like a baseball player or something. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's pretty rare to make a living doing this. It's like really nearly impossible actually. But I liked skateboarding a lot. That was kind of the thing, and then that was it. Yeah, I think this all happened at an age where like I was kind of like already going into it by time I was leaving high school. Like I said, I went on tour for my first time like 2 weeks after graduating high school when I was 18. So I didn't have like maybe I'll go to school. I think I was always kind of in the train of thought of like I can always go back to school. You can try to, make it and be a rock star and do the whole thing when you're younger, and if it fails, school will always be there, but you don't get your youth back to try to have those years and to like make this happen. And I think that's a huge thing. I was like always I will do this now, and then if all else fails, like I can still go to school and be an attorney if I'm 50, like I could go back to school and try to get a law degree. That's very plausible. Trying to start a band and get good in an instrument and like put all your time into that when you're 50 seems much harder.
Yeah.
And we all know someone like that, like someone who kind of gave up their youth and, did the school thing and, got the job and, had the family and yada yada, but they always like kind of wanted to, I never want to be that person who like you can tell is like, I wish I did this differently. That's the last thing I ever want to be. I'm not saying there's things that I wouldn't go back and do differently. There most certainly are. But career wise.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Miles. I want to know,
All right.
how did you end up starting to play with Ice Nine Kills? What's the backstory on that?
So Dan Sugarman, friend of mine, hit me up to fill in for him on very short notice. I got a DM, and I don't know if I think we had maybe hung in passing a few times, like in real life. But it was all internet stuff, and we were connected with a lot of the same people, like toured in the same circles, like kind of in like the death metal world. Like I was in a band called Rings of Saturn for a long time. I had another band, Interloper, still have that band. And just like in that whole death metal world, played as Ingested. I did some stuff with Carnifex, and like Dan was in his Blood Runs Black. So it was all like kind of the same world. Same subsection of metal, so to speak. So we knew each other. We did work for the same companies like Riff Hard. We were teachers on that, which is a really cool site that Al Levy runs, and he's a really cool dude. But anyway, so he knew me, and we knew of each other, obviously, and so he hadn't been playing with Ink for a while, and then his fill-in at the time had gone on to another band, and he was going to come back, and then he ended up having a tumor in his throat. Turned out to be cancer, and so he had to have surgery and get that removed, and he needed a guitar player to fill in. I'm telling this in a really long, roundabout way. Sorry. I don't think I'm very concise today. We had a very long day yesterday, and I feel like I'm on fumes here.
All
But
the
yeah, back to it. He asked me to fill in and do that. So it was an Instagram DM. It was like Wednesday night. He's like, "Hey man, would you want to fill in for me on this Metallica tour?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know. Let me check my calendar." Like, of course. Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, it's obviously like, yeah, of course. And so he's like, "Okay, can you learn the Horrorwood solo, the Funeral Derangement solo, and the Assault and Battery solo, and send us a video on it?" Didn't go to bed. I just stayed up. I think I sent the videos at like 7 a.m. It was like he probably hit me up at like midnight or something, or like 11 o'clock. And so I had never really heard the Ink music. Like I knew A Grave Mistake when I learned it. That was the only song I've heard. And I think maybe the American Nightmare chorus I heard like on the internet somewhere. So I had to I was really unfamiliar with it. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I know those solos. Let me just get that right over to you. I had to like listen to it and figure it out for the first time. And so I did that, sent the videos in. They liked it, as we can tell. And then I had a talk with their attorney, Eric German, and he, asked me some questions, make sure I was a reliable, functioning person, who was not going to make the band look bad or bail on this because this was a huge thing. And, I think he liked what I had to say. He checked some references, found out nothing bad about me, which was nice. He checked with people that I'd worked with, and everyone seemed to have something good to say, which was great. And then I got a set list for 15 songs, and then we had rehearsal on Monday. So fast forward, I think it was Thursday night that I was like, green light, yeah, learn the songs. We'll see you at rehearsal on Monday. And so I learned 15 songs, showed up for rehearsal on Monday, terrified. Um, and then rehearsed with the band for I think 3 days, went home for a couple days, kept drilling stuff, flew to Europe a week later from the first rehearsal. So Monday rehearsal, week later, fly to Europe, Metallica show 2 days later. Actually, there was a headliner before that. There was a headlining show, so I had to play all 15 before the Metallica show. Terrifying. I wish I had that extra day. I totally could have used it. And then, yeah, that was that. Yeah, and it's now we're going on year 3.
Right on.
I think that's about as detailed of an answer as I can possibly give.
That is exactly what I was looking for. So it's perfect.
I kind of want to backtrack a little bit here for the next question. I want to backtrack to when we were talking about this concept of being able to go back and give our former self a piece of advice. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to kind of play with that a little bit more, if I may. And I want to know, Miles, if you could go back in time to the age of 18, right? You could time travel back in time and have a cup of coffee or lunch with your 18-year-old self, right?
Mm-hmm.
What 3 pieces of advice would you give the 18-year-old Miles and why?
It's a damn good question. First one I think would be this is something I still struggle with big time. um, is to enjoy the present a little bit more. I have a very hard time enjoying and savoring any sort of moment in my life. It's very, very difficult for me. I do something and I'm like, well, this is going to come to an end at some point. It's like, hey, wait a second. What kind of like insanity is that? It's like just enjoy what you're doing right now. Jesus Christ. I would say try to enjoy stuff like that. And I'm prefacing all of this because I want to preface minus the thing I already said with I think everything has gone as it was supposed to. Everything has led me to where I am today, which is exactly where I've wanted to be. So it's scary to say anything that might change that course because all of the good and bad choices have led me here. But giving this advice without that potentially affecting everything too much, I think that enjoying the victories a little bit. I think being patient would be something that's good. Although I do think that my impatience has been something that has led me places that I wouldn't have gone if I was patient because I could have easily become complacent with things. I think it gave me a drive, but I think being a little bit more patient with people and understanding is a big piece of advice I would give. And the last one, I would say, don't party. That's a big one. But that also, I will say, as much as like I'm like I don't drink, I don't do anything. I'm a totally sober person now. As much as that's something that needed to happen in my life, I will say I think a lot of that did kind of like lead me places that worked out. Like I did make friends living that lifestyle and friends that I have to this day and probably will have, for the rest of my life. I think it gave me some sort of bonding, with people that I don't know. I think it worked out. Like it's weird. Like I wish I didn't do it, but it worked out. Like I've made a lot of friends. I had a lot of fun, but I got to an age now where I'm like, let's just like keep a lid on everything and keep it together. I've worked really hard to get where I'm at, and I don't want anything getting in the way, you know. So those would be my three pieces of advice. Be more patient with people and myself. Stop and smell the roses, you know what I mean? And don't be a party animal. That's a
Love it.
tough question. I'm taking this question like really seriously. The more I'm thinking about it, I'm like, what other advice would I give myself? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that's a really loaded question. There's a lot of different things I could give advice about, but those are the three gun to my head answers.
One, I'm curious to know, you had went on tour with Metallica. Just what was that like? Because it's Metallica, obviously.
It's really cool. It's nice. I have to say, they are incredibly nice people. I see James every week when we're on tour with them. I see Kirk relatively often. I've gone to dinner with all of them. We as a band collectively have gone to dinner with them, and some of us individually as well, and gone out and done some stuff. They are really, really nice people, and it's really cool because, in the music world, it's easy, in entertainment world in general, there are people who are known for having cat is in something. You hear like all this crunching behind me. Um, there are people who are known for, having egos and being arrogant and, I'm so and so. The dude who is responsible for metal as we hear it today is nice. He gives you the time of day. He will come to our dressing room and say, "Hey guys, how are you doing today? Just wanted to come and say hi." So that is incredible, first of all. I love that. I have massive respect for those dudes and what they've done for music in general. Um, the shows are really cool. They're very different than anything else I've played. Playing in the round is very strange. I will say that I'm used to it now and understand it and feel comfortable with it. Occasionally, I do wander too far from my microphone when I have a vocal part, and I might not make it back sometimes. But I think that's a really fun part. I like how everything's run. It's a pretty tight ship. Our shows are early. Everything's clean. Backstage is fun. Their crew is nice. It's a really pleasant experience, and we get to play some really sick shows. And it's also just like touring with Metallica.
Yeah.
We're touring with the band. Like this will be the fourth year in a row for Ice Nine, my third year in a row, and it's just insane. It is just insane. It is one of the coolest things, and I feel very lucky and grateful to be able to experience this. This is a bucket list item. Seeing the band is a bucket list item for many people alive who like this type of music. Touring with them and having a relationship with, some of the individuals in said band is unreal. Like it's really cool. It's like, man, these guys really they did this and now we have the music we do today because of what they did. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That is absolutely bonkers. And it's really cool. I love it. I've enjoyed it and I haven't had a single bad time. It's been great.
Awesome. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a I know that's a lot of people's bucket list or dream band to tour with probably. So I like
Oh yeah,
Metallica, so
totally.
many people start playing guitar because of them. So
Yeah, no kidding. And it's just it's such a cool thing. It's a really really cool thing. And I will say I will add one thing to that. There was a highlight of touring with them, and that is hopefully not your next question, but if it is, I'm answering it. A highlight was doing the Mexico City show. Five Finger Ivan unfortunately broke a rib and got hurt, which sucks, and that is a bummer. I think he's okay now. Nonetheless, we did get bumped up to doing direct support because it was so last minute. So we got the nighttime slot with the hour set and got to like tie into their lighting package, and it was like the most unreal moment. It was one of those things where it was like, I hope the camera's not on me because I think I might like have tears in my eye right now. It's just like it was one of those pinnacle moments where it's like, you spend so much time working on getting a career and like practicing your instrument and like, getting a love for it and, all the ups and downs of being a musician and, playing shows for 10 people at a point in time, and, or no one. Like I've definitely done shows for nobody aside from the other bands on the tour, and doing that was just like, oh my God, it was worth all of the headache. We like had that just full stadium where it's like, I cannot believe this ended up here. It's really cool. It makes me really happy thinking about it even right now. I can close my eyes and just like see it. It's really cool.
yeah.
No, I can dig it, man. I can dig it. Kind of wrap up here with the last fun question, and then we're going to get into our game. But I want to know, Miles, who are three bands you really want to tour with before you die and why?
Can I include one that's impossible to tour with, or does it have to be real?
Dealer's choice.
Okay. I would loved I would have loved to have toured with Children of Bodom. That's my all-time favorite band. All-time favorite band. It's something that doesn't seem like it would have been totally off the table either. Like that seems like something that could have happened. Um, that would be number one. Number two, let's think about this. I think I'm throwing it making sense out the window. Okay, let's start off there. This doesn't make sense, but Nightwish would be really cool. I love Nightwish. I'd love to tour with Nightwish. That would be so sick. And let me think. Another great band I would love to tour with would be Gojira.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. That none of these tours. I mean, Ice Nine and Gojira might make sense. I think Nightwish and Ice Nine is really not a thing, but it would be cool. You know?
Yep.
Well, I tell you what, they just won a Grammy last year, Gojira, for the medal performance at the Olympics. I thought that was really tight. That was really
Yeah,
cool.
that's very cool. I like to see that. I like that they're getting recognition because they're also a band that like they put in the time, like they've been around for a long time and they have a very distinct sound and they're really really great and good at what they do and just like incredibly talented people. But they're not like a mainstream appeal band, you know what I mean? Like they don't have that like you couldn't show it to like your grandma and she'd be like that's nice. You know what I mean? Like nothing like that. You couldn't put it on at like a club and people would be like fuck yeah. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. I don't know if that my bad.
No, you can
Anyways,
swear you're good.
yeah, oh,
You
okay.
can
Yeah,
swear,
yeah, I
dude.
said that. I was like, oh, I almost made it through the whole thing. Yeah, but it's one of those things where they like put in the work and really got like the fan base, which is cool, and they made it happen. And I just like them. I think they're great. I think they're a great band. So this is hilarious. I think they made it happen, and they're sick. Really influential band. A lot of bands sound like Gojira now, but will never be. What do you? So you got an Ice Nine game for me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Why do I feel like I'm gonna lose?
You might. I don't know. I at least made
Yeah.
it so you have a chance. There's multiple choice, so it's not just like you gotta tell me the answer. So
Okay,
what it
cool.
is, we came up with a match the Ice Nine Kills lyric to the song. So Ian and I
Oh
will
God.
read you a lyric and we'll give you A, B, C. You gotta pick which one you think it goes to. So
Oh no.
I will start with the first one. So we got, when night comes creeping, my cruel hand will rock you to sleep. Is that from A, Hip to be Scared,
The
B.
American Nightmare.
Didn't even have to go through it. Yes, that is right.
That's my one cocky, confident answer. I guarantee you, the rest I'm not going to know.
We'll see. We'll see.
All
Uh,
right. Number 2. It's underneath our skin. No medicine can stop the
Rash decision.
bleeding. Attaboy.
There you go.
Attaboy.
Oh, I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm getting like really lucky right now, and you're like made these really easy to
Maybe I
hard.
just made these too easy. Okay, next one. With a madness void of reason, I kill with every strike. Is it A,
Ooh.
assault and batteries, B, stabbing in the dark, or C, the shower scene?
Stabbing in the dark.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. Whew. Good. 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 Good.
All right. Number 4. Amidst their sins, the game begins. A frightening chance to be saved. A. The jig is up. B. Worst vacation. C. A work of art.
Jig is up.
Yes.
Cool. Good.
Almost queen sweep. Almost there.
Almost. You
One
got one
See,
more
I'm
left.
scared. I'm scared. I'm scared.
One more.
I have fear.
You should get this one. Okay. No one makes it out alive. Split the canvas open wide.
Oh, really?
Come on.
So work of art. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you know what's so funny? I feel so lucky with those questions because there's so many songs you could have picked that I would have had no idea.
You know
There's
what's
so
really
many.
funny?
I was like, man, don't go too far back, please.
Oh no, I was staying on the Silver Scream albums because myself,
Thank
like,
God.
I listen to Ice Nine Kills, but there are select songs I listen to more. So I went to the ones I listened to them to more and was like picking them. And I'm like, the jig is up. I haven't really listened to, so I'm like, oh, I'll pick a lyric from here. And like, I should ask Ian to do this because I feel like you're probably more seasoned with all the Ice Nine Kills songs. But
I got really
know
lucky
what?
because I just front to back these two records.
well,
That's
there you
why
go.
this happened. Yeah, if you asked me this uh a month ago, I mean, I would have known most of them. Stabbing, I would have known. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. If you hit if you hit the records before that, I might have been in trouble. I might have been in trouble. It'd be scary. I know some Every Trick in the Book. Fantastic record, by the way. God, it's so good. Some of that, but if you did like Predator Becomes the Prey or anything around
You know
there, it
what?
would have been. Are you
Bonus
gonna
round.
a bonus round?
Bonus
Okay, lay it
round.
on me.
Okay.
Bonus
Good luck,
round.
Miles. Have fun.
All right. Good luck. Here we go. 'Cause the knife in you brings out the life in me.
Stabbing in the dark.
Hold on. Last seen in a slasher's dream.
Oh, let's see. Your number's up.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. I know that one. Oh,
There you
damn!
go.
Damn,
I can't believe I got all that. I mean, the work of art one.
Yeah.
That's really relevant and new. You should say I've got a Terrifier poster. I've got another one from the release we did at the at Wilshire in Beverly Hills where we did the theater. I've got a big work of art proper poster for like the theater sized one of Art and Us, the promo. I know that one real well.
He's dedicated, dude. He's
Yeah.
dedicated. That's
Yeah.
rocks. Miles, dig this, right? You and Ice Nine Kills are on your tour bus. You're trucking along, going down the highway, and a tire blows out, right? You're like, oh shit, well, what are we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
We're in the middle of nowhere. Oh, wait, it's out over there. In the distance, you see a haunted house, and that's your only place of refuge from dusk until dawn, right? So here's the kicker. You guys get settled in. You're in the house. You're like, this isn't too bad. Kind of creepy, but whatever. From the shadow emerges a dead celebrity of your choosing, and they are going to haunt you and the band until dawn. Who do you want to haunt you and why?
Oh my God.
Dead celebrity.
Oh, Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer. What?
Val Kilmer. Tombstone. Top Gun.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
And my answer is because he has recently died and I love him in Tombstone and I hope he would pretend to be Doc Holliday. I want to hear a ghost tell me I'm your Huckleberry.
I
I
love it.
like that.
I love it.
It's been a pleasure, you guys. I appreciate you having me on here. This was fun. I cannot believe I did okay in the lyric bit.
yeah, I'm very happy that you got them all right. So that makes me feel better that I didn't make them too hard. I made you look good, so there we go.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I was scared I was gonna look like I knew nothing. I was actually scared.
Well, you end up acing it, so that's great. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show today, Miles. This was a lot of fun. You are such a chill dude, a great guitar player. So yeah, thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
Yes.
my pleasure. Absolutely.